Hey guys, I'm the founder of Sentry, and today I'm going to be talking about a really powerful tool called Chat GPT. And this tool was created by OpenAI, primarily meant to be a chatbot, but we can actually leverage this in order to create some offensive security tools. We can check for vulnerabilities, we can create pen test reports, we can ask it questions about cybersecurity related topics. We can really leverage it to do anything within the offensive security space. So one of the first things that I'm going to kind of showcase here is the ability for this tool to, generate offensive security scripts for us. So let's suppose we're on a internal engagement and then we are looking for users that are vulnerable to Kerber roasting. We could create that tool ourselves. We could download the tool from GitHub. But today I am going to showcase how to leverage the Chat GPT tool in order to generate our code for us. So it's super simple. All we have to do is simply ask it to create the tool, and it will do so. So I'm going to type in create a script that checks Active Directory users to see if they are vulnerable to Kerber roasting. So super simple, you just ask it a question and then it will reply with an answer for us. So it may take a second for this to generate. See, here's a script that checks for Active Directory users who are vulnerable to Kerber roasting. We see here it's leveraging LDAP. It's probably going to query LDAP in order to grab all of the users from that. In order to query LDAP, we do have to have a username and password because we are querying the Active Directory LDAP. See here, it's connecting to the LDAP server. It's searching for all users within LDAP. We can see that right here by this LDAP query right there. And then it's searching for the service principal name attribute. Basically, any user that has this service principal name attribute set is vulnerable to Kerber roasting. So we can see here that it actually did a really good job. I'm not going to run this script, but if I did, I would assume that it would work. It is, doing everything that I would do if I were to create this script myself. Again, it's leveraging LDAP. It's running a query in order to find all of the active users that are on Active Directory. And then it's searching to see if it has the service principal name attribute set. And if it does, it will go ahead and flag that as, being vulnerable to Kerber roasting. So that's just like super powerful, because we could ask it to create any type of script and then it will go ahead and attempt to create that script. Let's say we didn't know what Kerber roasting was. We could use this as a teacher as well. This tool isn't only used to, create tools. It can be used to learn as well, since it has a very extensive knowledge base behind it. So let's go ahead and ask it, how do I check for the Kerber roasting vulnerability in an Active Directory environment? So now we're asking it a question we're asking it, hey, I don't know what Kerber roasting is. Give me the steps to, check for this manually. Again, it's gotta take a second because it has to think, it has to process behind the scenes. So here we have it. To check for Kerber roasting and Active Directory, use a script like the one I provided in my previous response. So that's really cool there as well, is that it remembers your previous questions as well. So you can kind of layer questions on top of each other. So the script connects to Active Directory using LDAP, as I explained earlier, for users who have the service principal name attribute. Basically, if that exists, then it is vulnerable to Kerber roasting. Alternatively, you can use a tool like, Mimikatz. That's a very popular tool to, perform the Kerber roasting attack. It actually did a pretty good job of, explaining what this is. It isn't gonna get super granular, for that you may have to go out and read an actual blog post, but I mean, it did a really good job of explaining this to us. So we can leverage this to create our own hacking tools, which is just super powerful. But that isn't all we can leverage this for. We can also leverage it to, let's say we have a pen test engagement, we have to write the executive summary. We can use it to create the pen test report for us, which is, super cool. So I'm gonna say, create a pen test, or actually, I found the vulnerabilities, XSS, SQL injection, and a authentication bypass in the client's web application. Creates a pen test report executive summary that is at least 5 paragraphs long and explain it as if I'm a non-technical user. So here it's going to create a pen test report executive summary for us that is at least 5 paragraphs long based on the vulnerabilities XSS, SQL injection, and a authentication bypass. So here it is attempting to create this executive summary for us. So our pen testing team has identified several vulnerabilities in the client's web application, including XSS, SQL injection, and authentication bypass. Goes to explain the XSS and kind of what it is, explains the SQL injection, explains the authentication bypass, these vulnerabilities, and attack could use various techniques. Even kind of creates some business impact there. And then it creates how to mitigate these vulnerabilities as well. So, for a AI generated executive summary, this is actually really good. We can also do other things. So let's say you didn't like this, just the way that it was generated. You could say, can you state that in a different way? And it will actually generate this executive summary in a different way, which is super cool as well. So sure, here's an alternative way to summarize the findings. It even knows that these are called findings. Typically, I didn't even state that anywhere. So our pen test team has identified several critical vulnerabilities in the web application. Exploit these. So it's explaining it in a different way. See that this one's only 3 paragraphs, so it kind of made it shorter. So that's just like some really cool and powerful stuff that this chatbot can do. It can also do other things as well. It isn't just used to generate code to generate pen test reports. It can also be used to find vulnerabilities. So here I have some simple buffer overflow. I just copied it from some random site online. And we can tell the chatbot to analyze this piece of code. Analyze this piece of code for exploits. And I completely misspelled piece, but I'm gonna leave it in there because it will know what I'm talking about. So here we copied and pasted a piece of code, and then we told it to analyze it. And if it is, smart enough, it should actually be able to identify that there is a buffer overflow attack within this code. So we're just gonna wait here for a second for it to, properly analyze it. And it looks like the request timed out. Let's just go ahead and try that again. Sometimes it times out because there's a lot of people using the tool right now. Analyze this code to see if there are any vulnerabilities. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't time out again. So we see here this code contains a buffer overflow in the string copy function, which is correct. If the user provides more than 5 characters, so it even gives you the amount of characters in order to input for it to overflow that buffer. A secure alternative is to use string copy _s, so it gives you the mitigation as well. So this is a really powerful chatbot. Like, this is unlike any other chatbot ever produced previously. This thing can generate code, it can find vulnerabilities, it can explain some very complex topics to us, and then it can also generate pen test reports. So I would say leveraging this in the offensive security space, this is going to be a real game changer for everyone.